Okay, so today we are going to see what is looping in Python or any other language. Also, this loop structure is very much required to perform some programming or to write some code, useful code. Now, suppose you have given one piece of peptide and you want to estimate the molecular weight of that protein, okay, that peptide. Now, for that, what do you need? You need to have the individual amino acid molecular weight, isn't it? So this is a very basic molecular biology problem. And how you can calculate, if I am giving you that molecular weight of each of the individual amino acids, then how you can calculate the peptides molecular weight? Can anyone tell me what will be the formula? Basic molecular biology.
Sir, can you please repeat the question?
Question is, you have given, say for example, n number of amino acids. That means the peptide which has, for example, 100 amino acids. Okay, 100 amino acids are there in a peptide, polypeptide. That means the protein. Now, I am giving you the individual amino acids molecular weight. Now you are asked to find out the total molecular weight of that polypeptide. So how you can find?
So, sir, if we know the number of amino acid residues of the polypeptide chain,
Right.
we will simply multiply the total number of amino acid residues with
Right.
the average molecular weight of each residue.
No, not average. I am giving you individual amino acids molecular weight.
Then we just multiply the total molecular weight with the number of residues.
And anything need to be done? Then what you will do?
And also one more thing should be done, that is the number of amino acid residues. We need to subtract that many water molecules. The molecular weight of that many water molecules from the total molecular weight, because with each polypeptide bond, one water molecule will be derived. So that's why.
So that means you are saying that if 100 amino acids are there, then yes, you will subtract 100 water molecules.
No. If 100 amino acids are there, and if the polypeptide chain is linear, then we need to minus 99 molecules of water.
Right.
Water molecules.
Right. So that means n minus 1.
Yes. If it's circular, then we need to consider n water molecules.
Yes. If it is a linear, so then n minus 1. Very good. Now we will do this by programming. Okay. So my aim is to complete that part today. So for that, you need to understand what is looping, because that loop is very much essential to do this kind of job. Now for that, we start this thing with, can you see this slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have discussed about variables, right? Now we have also updated the variables earlier. Now take the example. Suppose we are writing this in your command prompt or whatever you are using in your IDE. There you type this thing and then you are pressing the enter. So what you will get in return?
Sir, if we simply press enter after writing this, probably we won't get anything, because we need to enter print x. Then we will get the value of x plus 1.
Okay. So that means you are saying that if we write print x, so then you will get the value of x1, right? So everybody agree with the Aritro?
Yes, sir.
All of you are agreeing. No one is opposing. But think logically. You are starting with x equal to x plus 1. Now, what is that x? What is that x value? Isn't it? So you have not defined x. So the code, how will this code will know that what is the value of x? Then only it can update this variable, right? So you will get an error. It will show that x value not found, kind of thing. Got it? So that means you need to specify the x variable value at the very first, and then you can write this, and then you print x, so you will get the result. If x is 0, so you will get x equal to 1. If x is 1, so you will get x equal to 2, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that means before you update a variable, you have to initialize it, usually with a simple assignment. So this x equal to 0 is known as assignment of this variable with 0, and this is also known as initialization process. Okay. Now, updating a variable by adding 1 is called increment, and subtracting a 1 is called decrement. As it, you know that addition of something will be increase the value of that x value, and if you subtract something, so that will be decreasing the value of x. Now there are two kinds of loops. One is while, and another one is for loop. So while syntax is easy. See, this is the syntax. You need to use one keyword while, and then you need to check the condition, and then you write the statements. So whatever calculation or what thing you want to perform, that is your statements. Okay. So this kind of loop is required when you don't know how many times that thing should be done. Okay. So this kind of loop is very much essential for your purpose. That means when you are writing a code to read a file where the sequences are written. So probably you don't know beforehand that there are 100 lines or 200 lines or 1000 lines. Okay. So in that case, this while loop will will test that if there is a line, so then it will go to the next step and it will do something. If there is another line, it will go and it will do some more calculations like this. So until and unless it will go at the bottom of that particular file, at the end of that file, it will go on and go on. So this is a while loop structure. Okay. But this is a simple code. I'm not going to read it here because we'll see that later also. But my focus is to go to for loop. So yeah, for loop, because this is more important or more useful for many other programs as well. So for loop is used to iterate over a sequence. That sequence may be list or maybe tuple or maybe string or any other iterable objects. Now, this iterating over a sequence is called traversal. These are computational terminologies written over here. So for the time being, you keep aside these terminologies, but try to understand that what is going on here. Suppose you have given 1000 lines of 1000 lines where your protein sequence IDs are there. Okay, protein ID, in UniProt or any other site, you can get n number of protein sequence, right? Now that protein sequence, if you want to print, what you will need to do, you will keep that in a file and from that file you will read and you will print each of these individual protein IDs. So that is the logic. So that means you are using some kind of loop. Okay, so it will go for the first line, then it will go for the second line, then it will go for the third line, like this. And for that, very simple syntax is there in Python, that is for, okay, which is for loop. So for, and then one variable, that is the iterating variable, then in, so this is a keyword in, then after space the sequence. Okay, so sequence means anything. That means that can be a list, that can be a tuple, or that can be string. Now after this colon you write your statements. So what need to be done there? Okay, so this variable iterating underscore var, this can take value of the item inside the sequence. Suppose it is a list. If it is a list, so obviously list will contain many different values. So it will take one by one and it will push that into the iterating variable one by one, if you are writing in this way. Okay, so let's take an example, then it will be more clear. Suppose you want to find out the sum of all numbers stored in a list. Okay, so these are the numbers given. So this is already known to you, that numbers equal to this list: 6, 5, 3, 8, 4, 2, 5, 4, 11. Now you can build this list in this way: numbers equal to within third bracket this. Now the aim is to find out the sum of all numbers. So that means 6 plus 5 plus 3 and all these things. So what you need to do? You need to initialize with a value so that you can increase that value, right? I told you at the first slide that you need to initialize with a variable, and then only you can iterate, you can increase or decrease that variable value. So for that, you need to assign some variable first with 0. So here, that is sum equal to 0. You can take any variable name, a total or x or anything. That is up to you, what variable name you are going to use. Okay, and then you need to use a for loop. So what is the syntax? For I in that numbers. Okay, for I is iterable object or anything you can write in place of I. Say for example, here in this example, it is written that for val in numbers. So that means this is the iterable variable. Okay, and it is checking within this numbers. So here numbers contain this values 6, 5, 3, 8. So what it will do, it will take the first element and it will try to increase that sum plus that value, right? So that's why what if you are printing this, so what you will get at the first iteration, that sum value will be 0 plus 6, 6. Okay, and that 6 will be stored here. So you are updating that existing variable. Okay, and you can print that sum. But if you carry on this loop, okay, so that means after that it will go to the next element and it will try to add 6 plus 5 then. Okay, so this is the iteration. So 0 plus 6, 6, 6 plus 5, 11, 11 plus 3, 14, 14 plus 8. Like this way, it will go on up to the last element. Okay, and then if you print this, so you will get the answer, total answer. So look at this print. This print is outside the loop. Okay, this print is not included in the for loop. So this is a block. You need to remember that. All right. So I can run it. Now let me share my screen again. Yes, is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now list one, say for example, I have taken another list. So 1 to up to 10, and we're writing this in this way: for num in list one, print num. So we are just trying to print these numbers again, whatever numbers are there. So you can write this and you will get in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now by default, this for loop printing is printing these elements vertically. Okay, so that means it is placing some new line by default. That is up to you in which format you want to print it. You can print it in this way also, no problem, but by default it is printing in vertical. Now suppose you want to add this number, so then what you need to do? So you just need to write two more lines. That is, first you need to initialize this thing, sum equal to 0, and then you write sum equal to sum plus num, right? And now this will be, this is not sum num, this will be sum. Is it clear? Now what you will get if you are writing this? Can anyone guide me what it will print?
Sir, it will first print 1, then 3, then
Right.
It will just continue adding up the numbers.
Right. So it will add up the previous value and the next value in this way. So now you are getting that 1, then 1 plus 2, 3, then 3 plus 3, 6, in this way. Right. It is iterating over and over, and it will go up to 10. And then there will be no value, so it will follow up from value. That's all. Okay. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Where is the problem? Now think logically. You are trying to add this number one by one, right? So for that you need to initialize something. I told you at the very first slide that is your initialization point. That is a counter from where it will start. The sum equal to 0. You need to take this, otherwise you cannot add with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 randomly. Okay, so for that you are initializing with this 0 value. Then what you are doing, so you are using a for loop, and the for loop structure is like that for the iterating variable. So here it is named as num. You can give anything. Okay, you can take any number, but accordingly you need to change your variable number after that. Okay, sorry. So this is a variable name, nothing else. So every time you need to use that variable name. Okay, now what is the function of this variable? Function is it will take values one by one from this list one. Okay, from this list one. So you go back to this list one. So first value is 1. So now in the next line, what it is doing, it is incrementing this sum value, so that is already here 0, with the first variable in the list. Okay, so and that result, the total value will be stored in a same variable name sum. There is no problem. Okay, isn't it? And now you are printing that sum. No problem. Why these are same? Because you are going to add again with that total sum. Okay, and now this will be repeatedly. This job will be done. So that's why you are doing in this way. And next time after this print, what it will do, it will increment that thing. That means first time it was in 0th position, now it is, this counter is in first position, that is 2. So it will take from this list value the second item, that is 2. Okay, and it will add with the previous value, that is 1. So 1 plus 2, 3 will be stored in sum again, and this sum is printed over here. Now this is a simple logic. This kind of increment is going on step by step. It is in order, right? List is in ordered element, so it will go on by this way, one by one. It will move, and you will get these results. Okay. And if you don't want to look at this individual steps result, so what you can do, you just make this thing. We just remove the indentation. Now what it will do, it will not show you the individual steps result. It will only show you the ultimate sum, right? So what will be printed? If you are writing in this way, if you are writing print outside this for loop block,
55.
Sir, it will probably print 0.
why?
Sir, because we are actually removing the indentation.
Yes, but so code will read line by line. After this for loop, the sum value is changed now, right? So last sum value, that will be stored. What is that value? It is 55. So the last sum will be printed if you are running in this way, if you are writing in this way, isn't it? This 0 value is updated right now. So if you run, you are getting 55 only, not 0. Okay. So when you are writing your code, you need to remember that this print, whether you are trying to print all these outputs, all these step by step outputs, or you need to do only the last output. So remember that if you want to print the last element only, last sum only, total sum only, so then you remove the indentation, you write the print statement after the for loop. And if you want to print all these step by step results, so then you can print this inside the for loop. So that is the logic. Okay. All right. So now next.
Sir, KJ, DSB, what is this? I don't understand. For KJ, DSB, FJKB in
Okay.
list.
So this is a variable name. I told you that is up to you what variable name you are using. So you can write anything here, and you need to change that thing in the next lines. That is a variable name, nothing else. So it is. We will see different examples and try to use some variable name so that you can understand that what is in your list. Suppose in list you have some numbers, so you can give the variable name as number or num. Okay, if there are some colors have been given to this list, red, white, blue, so you can write for color in colors. I can show you another example. Say for example, in list 1 or list 2 some colors, say for example red, then white, and green. Okay, so these 3 colors have been given. Now you want to print these items red, white, green using for loop. What you can write for, sorry, you can take it in colors also, because this is the colors list, right? Now you can write color in colors print. What it will print? What it will print? Color, isn't it? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So see, from this colors list, what you are going to print? You are going to print individual color, right? So you can name it color, this variable name, and you can write color. No problem. So you are getting this color one by one. Okay, but you cannot change these colors. Print colors. So then it will show you in this way. Don't do that. Every time that colors will be printed. So that means you need to be very careful when you are writing your variable name. Okay. So you can write, instead of color, you can write I also. Many times you will see that I is used in programming. It is iterating object. Now this will show you the same result. Okay. But if is it clear now? Who asked me that what is KDGF XXXY? That thing. There is a variable name, nothing else. Okay. So I'm going back to that slide again. Okay. Yes. So here also I can do. Now we have seen what is modulo function. If I type 17 module 5, what it will print? It will give us the remainder part. That means what value it will be printed?
2.
2. Okay. Now if we write this, one, this
4.
4, this
0.
0. Now, so that is the modulo function. I think all of you understood what it is doing. Now, let's check whether from this list, take this list again, otherwise you will be confused. Take this list and from this list, you need to identify only the even numbers. Okay, only the even numbers. So manually you can do that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now programmatically, what you can do, you can use that modulo concept, right? So in the earlier class also, you have seen that how you can find out odd or even number using this if else statements, right? So we are using that simple concept, but we are adding one more line, that is for loop, because each time you are checking whether that value is even or odd. Earlier only tested for one single value. Now what we are going to do, we are checking for each and every value inside the list. Okay, so we are running this code for num in list 1 if that variable num modulo, that means this operator 2. So this is it, we are checking whether that value is equivalent to 0 or not. If it is 0, then print that number. That means that is an even number, isn't it? So you are checking that whether 1 divided by 1 modulo 2, that is 0 or not. Then you are checking 2 modulo 2, that is 0 or not. Is it clear? So this for loop will take one value at a time from this list 1, and that will be checked whether that modulo operator is working and you are getting 0, and that 0 equal 0. So if it is true, so then print that number. Now you can understand if you do it manually. So what you are getting? So num first time this number equal to 1. So 1 modulo 2. If you write this here, 1 modulo 2, what you are getting? 1, right? So that means that is not 0, right? So for that, when it is trying to compare that 1 equal to 0, so that is already false, so it will not be printed. Then again it will be iterated. Okay, now next time this num will be 2, isn't it? Now 2 modulo 2, you check, that is 0. Now that 0 equal to 0, that is true, and that's why that number will be printed. Again the iterator will go on to this 3. Now this number value will 3, this variable value num. Now 3 modulo 2, again it will be checked, and you are getting 1. So that means 1 equal to 0. It will be false, so that number will not be printed. So if this is true, this comparison is true, then only it will go on to print the next statement, isn't it? So that is the logic for if statement. So by this way, you can find out which one are the even numbers. You print this, you are getting the even numbers. Easy? Understood, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we want to add the else statement, because here only if statement is used. Now you know how to use the else statement. So if you are getting this even number by this way, else print the odd number now. So now what it will do? If you are adding one more line, 2 more line, else, and under that else, you are writing odd number, comma num. Now you can tell me what it will print if you understood the logic of for loop. Very easy. Tell me. Anyone can try.
Odd number 2, odd number 4, odd number 6.
Now check that thing. Odd number is not 2. 2 is even number. So rest of the numbers, what are not there in this 2, 4, 6, 8. So you can check that these numbers are even 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now here it is saying that if the numbers are not even, so then print this.
Sir, in
Print
the place of 1, 3, 5, they will print odd number.
Right. But if and else both are working under this for loop. So every time that number will be checked whether it is even, else it will print this. Again, it will go and for the next number and it will check whether that is even, or else it will be printed as odd number and that number. So now you can tell me what exactly it will print instead of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You can think logically and then you can answer it. So take one number, any first number. Okay, say for example this one. So number value is 1 now. Now it is checking that that number 1 module 2 whether it is equal 0 or no. Is it true? First time?
No, sir.
No. So that means this print num will not work. It will go on to else statement. And now in else statement, what it will print?
Odd number, comma 1.
Very good. Odd number, comma, not comma, odd number 1. Okay, odd number 1. So this is the syntax how we can print this thing. So we'll see that. This is just a printing statement. If you just put number, that then also you will get that number 1. Then it will take the second value, that is 2. Now it will move to if loop, if condition checking. So now 2 module 2 is 0, which is equivalent to 0. So it will print 2, but as the if statement is already satisfied, it will not enter to the else statement, right? So that is the logic. If it is satisfied, so then it will not go to this statement. So then again, that iteration will go on, and the value of this number will be increased to 3, right? So then again, it will be checked that whether 3 modulo 2 that is equal to 0 or not. It will not be true. So that means it will not print this one, but it will go on this else statement, and then it will print what? So when you are taking this step 3, so what it will print? So it will print from this else, odd number 3, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now you run this. So then you will see that first time it is printing this else statement, odd number 1. Next iteration it is 2. So only printing this 2. Again it is iterating. Now next value is 3. So that is not an even number. So it will print from here odd number 3. Then 4 is even. So it is printing 4, only 4, like this. Okay. So this is the logic how the for loop is running with the if else statement. I don't know whether you understood or not, because if you are not saying anything, so that means
No, sir.
that
I don't understand.
which one?
The odd number part, the result was given odd number 1. He had 2 odd number 3. How is related to the number of percent 2? Is this the number of the previous variable, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yes, yes. From this list, it is iterating over this list only. This is the list values. So every time it will take one value, and then it will check for if else, these two conditions.
So in past programming here, the number was come 10 up until 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
10, yes. Yes. Yes, that is for this one. Only you are checking the if statement. So then you are checking the else statements also.
So this this entire number was divisible by 2. That's why it's
Not divisible. It is checking that whether the remainder is, what is the remainder is. These statements, num module 2, that means you are taking the remainder part only. Okay. So that is checked with 0, whether that remainder value is 0 or not. That is the checking. If it is true, then it is printing the num, that is the even number. But if it is not so, so then you are going to else statements and printing this statement, odd number is num. So you can print odd number num also. So that is for just for a printing purpose. I have used this odd number. Otherwise, it will be mixed up and you cannot follow what is going on. You are getting that same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So to make it more clear, what you are doing, you are adding something like this. So you can write events, comma this. So you are getting this odd number 1. So then from the next iteration, even number 2, odd number 3, even number 4. So the 10 times this is iterating over and over because 10 numbers are there. So that is my point. Okay. I think it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this example we have already done, that how we can add some values inside the loop, inside the list. So it's the same program what we have written first. Okay. So this syntax, this line can be written by this way also, plus equal to num. So the same work will be done, no problem. Okay, now we are moving to the next example. So that for example, you are writing a string like this, and now you are trying to iterate over that string. Okay, and you are writing any variable name. Say for example, I, for I in string I, you are printing that. So what you are getting in this way. This, so it is printing the space also. You can see that vertically it is printing 1 by 1 because by default there is a new line up when it is printed. So this is a string full stop. So all these string elements are printed in this way. So that is the thing, that you can iterate anything, not only the list, but you can use string, or you can use tuple, or you can use dictionary. All these things you can iterate over. So here is an example of tuple. So the same method for t in tuple, print t. So you are getting these values. Okay. Now come to this dictionary. The list. The list, inside the list, some tuples are there. You can see that construct. So this is one tuple, comma, another tuple, comma, another tuple. So that means this list 2 contains 3 tuples. Now, if you are printing for tuple in list 2, print tuple, so you can guess what it will print. Can you guess that what it will print?
2, 4 in the first line, then second line 6, 8.
Right.
Third line 10, 12.
Right. So every time it will take one tuple and that will be printed. Yes. So exactly this tuple is printed, then the next tuple, then the third tuple. Because now the list elements are this, right? Those are separated by comma. Don't be confused. So 3 elements are there in the list, and those elements are printed. So as you can see that this is tuple, so you are writing this tuple. You can write it I also, no problem in that. You will get the same result. So Again, I'm saying that this is just a iterator variable, not anything. See, you need to remember. Okay, now suppose you don't want this way, you want any one of these values, either this 2, 6, 10 or this 4, 8, 12. Okay, so then you can unpack this tuple. So this is known as tuple unpacking. So for that, instead of this, you can write within the bracket the T1 or T2, comma T2, this thing, and now you can take any one of this out. So if you need to print T1, you write T1. If you need T2, you can write T2. So 4, 2, 4, 8, 12 will be printed. That is a very easy thing actually. All right. So I'm getting less time now. So
Sorry, last example টা বুঝতে পারলাম।
So this is called tuple unpacking. Okay, tuple unpacking. So that means now your aim is to identify any one of these tuple values. For example, the first entities 2, 6, 10. So then you can't print in this way, or you need only the second entities 4, 8, 12. Then also this will not work. So for that, what you can do, you can write instead of tuple any one variable, you can use two variables. Okay, because you know that there are two entities, two elements inside one tuple. If there are 3 elements, so you can increase this variable number over here. You need to check that, and accordingly you need to specify your variable numbers.
In case the tuples have in case the tuples doesn't have equal amount of
Yes,
objects.
so then that will not work. Okay, then that will not work. This is only work for when this number of elements inside the tuples are same. Okay, otherwise this value, where this value will be stored. Let's check. Here you are getting the same list, but when you are trying to unpack this thing, you are getting value error. Too many values to unpack at line 2. That means here you have placed 3 values in this tuple, but you are trying to get that values in the 2 variables. Well, that is not possible. Okay, so you are getting error. Got it? What is your question?
Yes, sir, understood.
So by this way, you can call out any one of these variables, whether that is the second one 4, 8, 12, which are stored in T2, and if you want to print T1, so you can do it. Okay, now we are going to the last example. What was the question given here? That if you, yes, so suppose you have given this molecular weight of this individual amino acids. Okay, can you see that there are 20 amino acids? Individual amino acids molecular weight is given. All right, so you can make a dictionary in this way. So if you remember that how the dictionary is is written, that second bracket, within the second bracket you need to specify your key, then colon, the value, key and value. So this is a pair. After comma, again one key, colon, that's value, comma, key, colon, value. So these are the key value pairs, and after at last you are placing one second bracket, right? So this is the dictionary, and the dictionary name is proteinoid. Okay, now here you are taking one protein sequence. So all of you know that how you can do that. So input, enter your protein sequence. If you run this, you will be prompt for this, entering this thing. So I'm just, for simplicity, I am taking 1, 2, and 3 amino acids. Okay, the same that the peptide is 3 amino acid long. So that means it has 3 amino acids. Okay, so simple peptide I'm taking, and then I'm taking this Now, what I need to do, as you have mentioned, that we need to calculate A, V, and N. These 3 amino acids molecular individual, right? So for that, we need to initialize with something. So total weight equal to 0. That's the same logic. Sum equal to 0. You can write. Now, for amino acid in this protein sequences, okay. So you can write I also, no problem. Now next is very important, that now you are incrementing your total weight. Now how you can get that individual amino acids? Okay, so there is a method known as get method. Okay, get method. For that, we are taking this example first, so then it will be clear. Suppose this is a dictionary. Okay. Now you can print the keys of this dictionary. So for that you are writing 4 keys in D and print keys. So what it will print? K1, K2, K3, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you want to print the values, that means 1, 2, 3, you may think that, okay, so then I will write values, and here also I will change the values, so it will print the values. If you are doing that, so you will get again 1, 2, and 3, because that doesn't mean that this is values. These are only the variable names, nothing else. That means I, J, K, any variable name you can use there, not the keys or values. So for simplicity, you are writing that you know that you are trying to extract the keys, so you can write this. But if you need to extract the values, so then you can use this unpacking system also. So that is called dictionary key value pair unpacking. Same as the previous example, you know that how many keys and how many values are there. So K and V, two items are there in the dictionary, and you are trying to print the V's only. Okay, you can use K also here for printing, but my aim is to print V, so I can write it in this way. So this is more powerful than this one. You can take any one of this using this. Okay, so you are getting the values only, and if you are changing it to K, so you are getting, sorry, that thing. Okay, so it will not work actually, because that is for tuple unpacking, not for dictionary unpacking, and that's why you are getting K every time. Okay, so don't do that. This is for V, value. Okay, now there is another concept, how you can extract that key 2 value. That means 2 will be printed. So for that you can use .get method. Okay, so d.get, you are specifying that your key item is K2. So you are writing K2, and if not found, so then it will be printed key not found. This is a syntax, how you can use the .get method. So .get, first you need to specify that for what key you want, and then if it is failed, so it will be printed. So by this way, if you are writing this for this line, same line, so what you will get, if I am trying, so for K2, it will print 2, right? It is getting that value of key 2, K2. And if I, by mistake, I am writing K4, so it is saying that key not found, because K4 is not present in this dictionary. Okay. And if we write this,
Sir, why we need to write the K not found every time?
because it's a syntax. That is why I'm saying this, that d dot get, if we are mentioning only this K4, so you will get none. Okay, so it is returning nothing. That's why you are getting none. And if you are mentioning that key not found, so it will print that statement. You can write 0 also, no problem. You can write comma
Sir,
0. In that case, it will return 0. Okay. Yes.
what is the exact function of get syntax?
Yes. So my point is, if you want to extract the value of a particular key, so this is the easiest method, that dot get that key variable name. So that is the easiest way how you can extract the value of a key, okay, from a dictionary.
Then why it is not, why actually we are using the key not found?
Okay, so that's why I am asking again that suppose you are not using key not found, no problem, you can write d dot get K4. Okay, so then you are getting none, right? So suppose you are not writing this, then no problem, you will get the value. Okay, but by mistake you have written this K4, so then you are getting that none. So what is this none? Okay, you will be confused in future if you are getting like this. So there is a parameter you can pass again.
Okay,
That
okay.
key not
I
found.
understand, sir. If that particular key is not there in our dictionary, then we will
Right.
see the visual key not found.
Right,
Okay, okay.
right. So that is the message you are giving within this syntax. So that's why you are getting this key not found, nothing else. Okay, yeah. So
Sir, if just if this is the, I mean, the get syntax is there to extract the value of a particular key of a dictionary, then what is actually the function of the previous thing you just showed, like K comma V in D?
that is, you can write a program in many different ways, right? So
Sir, actually you since you are using print V and it's showing output 1, 2, and 3.
yes,
I
so
tried.
that is using for loop, and here you are not using any for loop. You are
But sir,
directly
this, but the in that previous comment, this 1, 2, 3, what are the values of 1, 2, 3? I mean,
so that is randomly they are picking the keys and they are taking the values of that keys and it is printed. It is not
okay,
in
sir.
order.
But actually, I have just tried the same thing
Hmm.
using different values. Like key 1, I have assigned key 1 as 11, key 2 as 12, and K3 as 13. Then I perform this same thing, like K comma V in D and print V. Then it is showing output 1, 2, and 3. Why is that so, sir?
Okay, okay. Yeah. So there is a misconcept. Actually, I forgot this thing, that will not work, and for that reason it is written over here that it will not work. You cannot do this thing. It is used for tuple unpacking, not for dictionary unpacking. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
this is for dictionary unpacking, but this is not used for. This is used for tuple unpacking, not for dictionary unpacking. Okay. Yes. Thanks for this. Okay. It will not work. Right. Okay. So where you are? Yes. So get method is done. Now, yes. For that, the items. This thing you need to use. Okay. Dot items. So to overcome this problem, okay, you need to write this dot items. Now, if you take these dot items and then you unpack this thing, then it will work. Okay. So see, now it is tuple. And now, if you unpack the tuple again, you are getting this thing. Got it? Good. I forgot to mention.
Yes, sir.
Now it will work. Okay. So again, we are going back to the last example. Do you have class right now? Or I can take 5 minutes, 5 more minutes, then I can explain these 3 lines.
So 5 minutes is okay, sir. But we have class from 11.
Okay. So I can take 5 minutes more. So now we are just going to use that dot get method here. Okay, dot get, and now what it will get? Amino acid dot upper. So we are not passing anything. So whatever amino acid is there in first iteration, so that will be taken, and if not, so then it will return 0, right? So that is the same example, key not found case. Dot get the key for what you are asking for, and if it is not there in your list or in your string, so then it will return 0. That's all. Now if you run this and if you print this total thing, so sorry, what it is printing, I have run many times. Okay, let's run it again. ABL. Yes. So what it is going on? Why it is showing this kind of thing? Okay. Is it so? Something is not working. I guess so. I need to rerun it. Because total weight should be AVL, right? So AVL, what should it print? Let me rerun this thing, restart this kernel. AVL. Yes, total weight. Yes. Now it is working. You can check that. You take this value, and this value. So in total, 337, right? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if you are running, sorry. If you are running this again, it is not working. It is not working. Okay. So leave it. It will work if you are running from here. So it is not working for this Jupyter Notebook. Sometimes in Jupyter Notebook you will find this kind of difficulties. So you need to rerun this. There is a problem. Protsec is not defined. Okay. I need to run again. ABL. Yes, 337. Now, what was the logic? Now you are getting this total W, total weight is 337. Now you need to subtract that water molecule, that is 18. And how many water molecule you need to subtract? That is n minus 1. So ln of Protsec, that means 3 minus 1, so 2. You are getting n minus 1 rule, and you will get 2. So 18 minus 2, 36. So from here it will be subtracted 36, and total weight class is 301. Okay.
Sir, আমরা এখানে dot upper syntax টা কেন ইউজ করছি?
Okay. So by mistake, suppose you use this. Okay. And you don't use this. So you will get different values. I'm rerunning this thing. It is not working. Okay. Yeah. Can you see that difference? Only it is adding 117 and 131.
Yes, sir.
So that's why you are making this amino acid, whatever it is, into uppercase. So then to lower. Okay. So that is a good practice to make either uppercase or lowercase, because you don't know what, in which format it is there. By mistake, it can be printed in lowercase also, or all these things are small case, but in one place it is uppercase. So then if you are entering your
Okay, sir, I
uppercase,
understand. So whenever we are inputting our sequence, our target sequence, if by mistake we put any letter in
small or
small case, then it
yes.
will automatically convert it to the uppercase so that it can match the power plot weights dictionary.
Right. So I think it is clear how we can use for loop and how we can use the iterate over the for loop in dictionary also, and how we can calculate the protein molecular weight as per your choice, as per your input. You are not hard coded any protein sequence, but as user will give the input, it will be giving the output accordingly. So this is the syntax: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 line code. Okay, only 7 line code. We can use this thing. So I think a for loop is over. For loop construction and how can we use for loop. Now you can try to solve some problem. If possible, I will give you some small easy problem for practicing this for loop and with the if else statements, and then you can try for harder problem. I've already given that thing in lab 3, so you can try to solve that problem. Okay. So if there is no more question, so I can stop here. You have another class, so you can